On this week's episode of the RAG podcast, I was joined by Chris Redmond. Chris is the founder of a recruitment business called Red Holt, which are 3 years old, headquartered originally in Essex, but they're now a digital nomad business. So they're going to have no fixed location, recruiting all over the world. These guys recruit in the commercial space, so they recruit senior appointments, mid to senior appointments, but typically with organizations that are going through some distress and need a rapid solution. One of the main reasons I wanted to interview Chris was, one was the digital nomad piece. I think I'm a complete advocate of people working in multiple locations and leveraging the gig economy and the way that technology, cloud-based technology brings us together. But also, this guy used to be a project manager, program manager, and then he came into recruitment very late, and he's put a project management methodology into his recruitment process, and he believes that this kind of secret sauce in his methodology actually it makes him different, but also it's what's driving the high growth of his organization. They're super profitable. They're not the biggest organization. I think there's 6 staff, but they're £1 million in their 3rd year, and they are on track through some really cool things. Chris is a man who has got super energy. He's got an aura about him. As soon as you're in the room with him, he's warm, he's likable, but you can just tell he's the sort of guy that's going places. And I loved this episode. It was honest, but it was also some real nuggets of information in there. So I hope you enjoy it. Without further ado, Chris, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Good to have you in. We have been connected, I think, on Instagram for longer than LinkedIn, haven't we?
Quite possibly so,
I've seen your brand, and it's been a long time, so it's good to finally meet you. We had a good chat on video.
Yeah.
And you like the spot? You like the pillbox in Bethnal Green?
Yeah, love it. Come around the corner off the high street there and see the pillbox. It definitely fits the brand. So
it does, doesn't it?
Compliments on aligning those two things.
You didn't get to the old office, thank God for that. But we're in a different room today. So we normally record in one of our our other office, but we've filled that with the recruitment team now. So we've had to find a new spot. You'll see that on the video. If it does have a different sound, then I'm just going to say an apology now. It might not be perfect. But Chris, I've done you a little intro, mate. I'd love to, I can never do it justice. So can you give the listeners an overview of who you are, what you're up to?
Of course, yeah. So from a personal perspective, I'm not the pedigree recruiter that most people listening to this podcast probably will be. I spent quite a number of years, probably more than I'd care to admit, what we would call client side as recruiters.
Program management.
Absolutely, program management, and then up to operations director in a fairly large telco organisation. And I think what that gives me now is a real empathy with the clients that I work for in terms of what they go through when they receive the content that we generate in terms of shortlists and facilitating processes for them.
Yeah.
As a business, we're only 3 years old as Red Holt. It's myself and Amanda, my wife, that run the business.
Amazing.
It's a real strong nucleus for strong growth and pride in what we do for our clients, but also pride in the environment that we generate for the people that work with us and for us as well. So I hope that what that chemistry does is create something that's quite unique, alternative, or to complement the methodologies and everything that all of us have to do in this sector.
So Red Holt is the brand, right?
Correct.
Where did you get the name Red Holt?
Redmond and Holt. So it was as simple as that. It was a fusion between You should have got that one, mate. Absolutely, awesome. Yeah. So that's where it came from. And actually, I think it was one of Amanda's friends that came up with it. And when you have that moment where you know,
I like
we just
it.
said, yeah, absolutely, it
works.
It
a lot,
a lot of people have said that. Actually,
is it a word that's used on anything else? Is it like?
I hope not.
If you put it into Google, have you checked if it comes up elsewhere?
I hope not, but people will probably be doing that up and down the country now.
Well, that was part of the attraction with our brand, was that it's a unique word that you can't. Yeah. I told everyone we came up with Noxo, which was a homosexual mammal, so we changed it to Noxo. But the principle was still a word that no one else is using, and Red Holt will be one of them.
Yeah. I like it. I think that the other thing is it really imparts that sense of intimacy with who we are. It is me and Amanda. It will always be me and Amanda at the core of the business, and we'll never lose that touch with the people that we affect, both candidates and clients. So it's good that they get the feel for that, even if they don't realise it.
It's quite a strong name.
Red tends to be,
Red
I think,
Holt.
actually.
It's like a bolt, isn't it? It's like bam. Wow. Well, I'm still on your good side.
Yeah.
So let's go back then. So I used to recruit program management in my day. I do understand it, I think, pretty well from the other side as a recruiter of it. Yeah. Tell us, I don't want the war and peace of that, but what's your background in that space?
Well, it was really, originally I thought I was a techie, and then when I got bored of watching flashing lights in a node room for working for a telco, I wanted to work with people. So
that's
I thought
traditionally the way, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I thought that the natural step on from that was to deliver the types of services that I was planning to be an engineer for.
Yeah.
And that's where I learned all of the structure to do with, first of all, Prince 2, and then MSP, managing successful programs. I did all the Office of Government Commerce accreditations. So that really still plays a strong part in my professional life.
What were you actually... What the programs were implementing telco systems or processes?
Yeah, networks. It was really networks. Right. You know, I started off working for Mercury, which a lot of people probably won't remember now, but that became Cable and Wireless. Right. And, you know, and then I worked for Energys, which was a great period of my career, running the IBM account. And, you know, we took that from, I think it was a few sites in the middle of nowhere, to a £60 million contract. Wow. Running the Lloyds TSB network and the Boots national network with 400 sites. I mean, I know it all sounds quite boring, but to me at that point it was really exciting.
That's real global stuff. Like, that's huge. I always remember program management. I think I was the other way around. Like, when I was a recruiter, I often thought, like, I could probably do that. Or business analyst, definitely. I thought that could have been me, going in, running workshops and as-is and to-be processes and all this stuff. But project managers were like, they were usually strong communicators, charismatic, organised. Like, you knew they could put their foot down when they needed to, but they understood stakeholders. So that, I mean, it sounds like a great career. The money's good. Yeah. Were you a perm or contract?
It was. I did both. I did both, and at a really young age, actually. And I think that what it was good training for, that I didn't even realise then, was it's like being a mini managing director when you're running a project. You know, you have to care for everything, hard and soft.
Yeah. All the money, the budgets, the resources. It's like a mini business.
Absolutely, all the slippage. How are you going to contain and mitigate any risks or issues that are happening? It is literally, you know, a little incubated business. But what I liked was the cycle of things as well. So it wasn't just going to be that forever. You'd deliver that project, move on. There'd be nuances and characteristics to whatever you went on to next. Yeah. And that was great for me. You know, it's stimulating. It keeps you thinking. It keeps you on your toes. It means you're continually learning as well.
So how the hell did you get into recruitment?
Funny story.
So that is definitely not a traditional.
Yeah, well, actually,
because you'd think you're earning way too much to become a junior, 22k a year.
Well, it's funny. I didn't actually come in that way.
Black hair or not.
Yeah, any hair would have been good. It was funny because, you know, I did 3 years as global vice president of sales for a software and hardware company, and spent those 3 years in Brazil and Latin America, and again, kind of finding sales partners and resellers, but it was program management. You know, it was very structured work and doing joint ventures. And I was living abroad, and I came back to the UK, and I was going to set up my own company, helping national companies go international after the experience that I'd had, again, using my structured experience to help them do that. And I went to present to a company that you'll probably know called NP Group, and the chief executive, Chris Cook, and the chairman, Andy Green, and David Etherington then, who was the COO. And they called me up and said, look, we really like your proposition, the way you've built your brand, but could you put that on hold and come and join us for a while, because, you know, we're on an exit path at a really exciting stage in our growth. We could do with someone on our leadership team that thinks like a client, like the clients that we're selling into. So I thought about it, and I thought, do you know what, actually I could put that on hold for 3 years and do recruitment. And honestly, Sean, I felt like it then, and I feel like it now. With all of the experience that I'd had before, I felt like I'd found my spiritual home from a career perspective. Absolutely. You know, I still today, in fact, I love what I do today more than when I was just learning the art and craft of recruitment at NP Group.
So tell me how did you go in at a leadership level? All right, you understand the nature of, were they recruiting things like projects and
absolutely.
IT,
I mean, it was a large, fairly large organisation. It was global. I'm recruiting across a range of disciplines. I went in as chief of staff, which was basically vague enough to not mean I had to devote myself to anything, but wide enough or big enough to mean that I had authority to get involved with anything. Yeah. And actually, I started getting involved mostly with Mike Jones in the RPO side of things. And I really liked that, because what I could create in RPO was similar to the way that we used to sell software and hardware packages. It's all about return on investment, time to hire, cost per hire. It's about more sophisticated metrics than just get a job, find a shortlist, fill the job done. You know, it's about a longer term relationship based thing as well. So I found that I had a real knack to crafting the blueprint for short-term pop-up RPOs or longer-term engagements as well. And because of my international experience, how to pitch the cultural nuances to a standard model, but in lots of different countries. So we took MP Group to doing business with one logo, but in multiple locations across multiple continents. And that was what, a key driver that added to the momentum towards the transaction that we did at NP Group as well. So it was fascinating. I loved it.
You worked with them through an event of some form?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we went to market. I helped compose the IM, the information memorandum that we took around, and we met all of the investment community. I loved that. It was fantastic. Deloitte were the nominated advisor, the nomad that helped us do the transaction. So, Katie Folwell-Davies was just fantastic, and her team at training us on what to expect and how to compose ourselves for those meetings. Again, it was brilliant. And working up to actually getting a transaction done was a fantastic moment in my career.
Were you a shareholder at that point?
Yeah, I was.
So it paid off as well.
It was a good experience, and it was a nice mini wealth creation moment.
Yeah, amazing. So what after that? You didn't start Red Holt straight away, did you?
No, after that I went to Salt as managing director for EMEA, working with Elliot and Paul Gardner. And what I loved about Salt was the energy. I still love that. I think it's a bit of an iconic brand in the sector.
Yeah, I was in there the other week actually with Elliot, and it's pumping.
It always will be. I mean, there are certain things about any business, anywhere in the world, in any sector, that once it becomes part of the fabric of who they are, that's their DNA. And Salt will always be an energetic brand. I mean, just have to look at the colours of the logo. And
I didn't even get an interview there. So when I left Australia back in, fucking pissed me. I told Elliot as well. When I left Australia in 2012, I had a rec-to-rec, a guy called Steve O'Nions, if he's listening, in Reading, and he sent me out to a few brands. And I had 2 years recruitment experience, 28 contractors running. Yeah. I was a decent candidate with no restrictive covenant.
Yeah.
Technology, so I didn't really care what sector as long as I was interested in it. And I looked at Salt in Waterloo under the viaduct.
Yeah,
and I was I want to go there.
Know it well.
And then they didn't even want to interview me. I was like, oh, fucking hell. I think they should have. But anyway,
you'd have fit in well there, I think, sure. But it was great. But the thing that I really learned there was, those guys are really the masters of one of the masters of contingent business. Move fast, keep going, high energy. Yeah. There's 100 people under that roof that we're in the UK business. I was also responsible for the Dubai business as well, and worked with a few of the guys to scope out and do the due diligence on other markets that they've since opened, such as Berlin. And what I learned was about contingent recruitment and more agency type recruitment. NP Group had been big, sophisticated blueprints on an RPO perspective. This gave me the other side of the spectrum, and it actually made me a lot stronger. And it gave me exposure to running totally different sorts of teams of real recruiters that were there, line of sight. The teams that I was running at MP Group were all over the world, so it was much similar to what I'd been doing before. Right. But I learned a different thing about the recruitment sector, and it made me stronger as an individual.
Had you been doing deals in any of them jobs?
In MP Group, definitely.
Yeah.
I wasn't doing deals. So the deals I was doing at MP were obviously RPO deals. So they were big deals. We're talking about 6-7 figure deals. I wasn't doing anything in terms of placements.
No,
I wasn't involved with that at all. And I wasn't at Salt either.
So when did you decide on Red Holt?
I decided on Red Holt after a year at Salt. Yeah. Where I'd kind of crystallised my feeling about where I was going, and the value that I wasn't adding to Salt for who I am and where they wanted to go, and decided that. I needed to, if I was ever going to back myself and jump off, this was the moment. Yeah. I spoke to a few organisations, a few really well-known organisations about senior roles. And the thing that made me really back myself, Sean, was I thought, if these guys who are massive names in the industry want me to come in and be like a sales director or CEO of their business, if I'm good enough to do it for them, I'm good enough to do it for myself.
Yeah, 100%.
So that's what I did. I started Red Holt, and it was the classic story of...
Was Amanda already in recruitment?
No, Amanda was in recruitment. Amanda had been at Salt since the age of 17. Yeah, she's a hardcore recruiter.
Right.
So that's... She's a hardcore city girl.
Did you meet at Salt, or were you...
No, so she was at MP Group.
Right.
And we met at MP Group.
So, yeah, but so it wasn't even as if you were together and she was in recruitment and that made you take on recruitment. It was kind of... You moved into recruitment.
Yeah, absolutely. We met at MP, and that's where Amanda was. And then when she left there, she joined Red Holt. when I started at the kitchen table, it's a case of, right, we've got our savings. Ideally, we don't want to eat into them.
At the same time then?
No, I left Salt a month before, and then she left MP a month after and joined me. But that month, Sean, was all about get all of the pistons firing, sheer horsepower, how you put the power down on the tarmac, generating a massive bow wave of interest in the brand. I just went through all my contacts, and I promised myself that I'd make 50
have
contacts.
Any restrictive covenant?
I did have the restrictive covenants. I'd left on very amicable terms with Paul Gardner, the owner at Salt. And, the way that I went to market basically and made sure that I was doing business was around those. So, the kind of clients that Salt were working with at the time were the ones that I was just, kind of steering clear of, skirting around and making sure that I was just fostering the kind of engagement where I could get maximum bang for the buck in terms of just getting one role to fill.
Yeah.
And that was what it was all about, month one, just one role to fill. I made the website myself, our first website, absolutely.
But you'd not filled jobs ever?
Never.
How?
I'd never searched.
So actually you start in a recruitment company with no real recruitment experience,
and
sales experience, but not the delivery side.
Yeah, you bang on. And what's fascinating
having
now,
Amanda there would be the most important
well,
thing.
Amanda wasn't there for the first month,
But
she did coach me. She taught me how to do it. And that was the moment where I really started to love the job. And it's funny, and I suppose people will be listening to this now going, Redders, you were our MD and you'd never even done what you're telling us to do. But the reality is, now that I appreciate that, I love the job even more. I said to Amanda today, now I'm running a few big searches myself at the moment, and I love it. I love doing the screening, and I love presenting the evaluation. I love listening to the feedback from the clients and seeing them as well. When we do the Zoom conference and watching their body language of their reaction. It's those small things now where all of my experience from being that side of the conference comes in, and I think, what's that hiring manager thinking? What's that president of APAC thinking when I'm looking for his head of indirect sales and he's giving me this feedback? What does it really mean? Is he saying it or isn't he saying it?
Yeah.
So actually doing the job has made me a much, much better leader.
I bet, yeah.
Miles better.
It's different when you go into someone else's organisation as well. Like, if you're going to grow Red Holt, you've got to put a line in the sand and say, I'm prepared to do whatever's necessary.
Yeah.
You can't be an ivory tower leader of your own company.
Absolutely. No, there's nowhere to hide. No. Absolutely. And I think, there's a lot to the adage of being a serving leader. You have to be when it's your own business. Particularly, we've made the conscious decision to bring people in who don't have a recruitment background. That works for us.
Yeah.
And because we've got such a set methodology, we've tried bringing people in who are great recruiters, absolutely brilliant recruiters, but they have got a way of doing what they do, their art, their craft, and we've got our way of doing it, and that's the way it must be because that's what we sell.
Yeah. So we'll get on to that. There's loads I want. My mind's going crazy. So I want to go back to day one. I'll say it on every episode at the minute because it's the number one question I get is find out more about the early days. Like I met with a couple of guys last week who are starting their agency in January. And they were like, they've been in recruitment 10 years, but they're asking me, what do we expect to be doing in the first month? And I'm like, well, I prefer to hear it from you guys. What was the first month like for you? Sat at the kitchen table at a laptop?
Intense. I mean, at the time I was going through a big divorce.
Really?
I've got 2 kids from the first marriage and bills to pay, mouths to feed, And I sat there on my own at the kitchen table after being in Salt with 2 floors full of consultants and a really intense environment, thinking, right now, this is it, Redders. You got to do it. And that's when I just, the first step is the biggest step. I know you see all this stuff on Instagram and all that, but for me, making that list, working my way through it, and then on day 2, working my way through the next section and doing the follow-up on day 1. And then on day 3...
What was the proposition then, and what is it now? Like, so what were you going to these people saying?
The proposition then was just recruitment.
Yeah.
And actually...
reaching out to senior people across telco, IT, and saying, look...
A lot of the people I'd worked with
I've
before...
opened up now.
Yeah.
Give me whatever you've got, I'll
mates,
do it.
A lot of them were mates or professional acquaintances.
And did you say whatever jobs you've got, I'll work it?
More or less.
Give me a crack.
Yeah, more or less. And because once you're up and running, once you've put the big top up, then you can have a circus.
What was the first role you filled?
First role we filled as marketing manager for a company called CSM Live.
And how long did that take from day 1?
From day 1, it took me 7 days. And I can remember
in the first week.
And I structured the contract, so that it was invoice on acceptance and 14 days payment, because I knew when my mortgage payment was due.
Yeah.
So, and James, the guy that we placed, I'll never forget him. I'm still in touch with him.
Yeah.
And he's a great guy. But I remember them coming back to us on the contract and saying, you've already sent me the invoice. I said, yeah, it's invoice on acceptance. Yeah, it's 14 days as well. And trying to navigate that, I had to change those terms, to be honest with you, Sean. But, that's the way you operate, right? When you need to move fast and you need to survive.
But you must have found an incredible pace of client, role, candidate, interview, offer in
Absolutely.
7 days.
And we've never lost that.
That's insane.
I'd say that's the signature of our business. If you were to go to all of our clients, are repeat business, every single one of them. And if you were to go to them and ask them, just say one thing that you think Red Holt is all about, I think the first thing they'd say is speed. And I think I'd hope what they would say the reason for that is not just because we run it like headless chickens, but it's actually because of our structure. Structure doesn't hold us back, it enables us.
Well, I believe process drives speed, personally, so I get that. So tell us more about this structure. What is this secret sauce that you're...
But you know what, the fantastic thing about it is it's not secret.
Right.
And we've just re-simplified things. I remember when I was working at Energist for John Pletherow, and at that time, telecoms had become an industry of 3-letter acronyms, TLAs. And everyone was getting confused into buying business. What I loved about what John Pletherow did, who became the CEO of Cable and Wireless, was his whole theme was demystify. Make things simple. Let the client understand what they're buying and make them feel intimate with the value of that.
Yeah.
And that's what we've done. What we talk about doing is the ABC of recruitment really well, in a really crisp way. We impart flair and passion about what we do, but we put dates against it as well. And I always say to our clients, even if we miss one of those dates, we'll still be in control. Knowing where you are, what's happened, why you're there is a demonstration of control. Having target dates creates compelling reasons. It creates rendezvous points that you get towards a destination, and that's how we operate. And a lot of it is very forensic or military in the way that we run the business. But I like that, and it means everything's explicit, everything's on the table. There's nothing hidden. There's no dark art of recruitment with Red Holt.
So, all right. So you're going in the first few months then. So you did a deal in week 1, which is insane. Then Amanda comes in
It was week 2, actually.
Week 2.
Yeah.
Still impeccable speed. And then Amanda joins a month later.
Yeah.
How does that impact what's going on?
It impacted because what we were able to do, we'd scaled up by 100% by Amanda joining in percentage terms.
Double the headcount.
Yeah, and you know what? The thing is, I'm a sales beast and I will always be a hunter. That's what I love. But Amanda's a delivery beast. She is phenomenal when it comes to the amount of horsepower that's in the engine and ability to deliver. So all of a sudden you've got this business generation individual with a massive delivery potential, and we just started moving fast and getting loads of traction, because it meant that whatever dialogues I could foster and drive to a conclusion where we got a role to work on, I could chuck towards Amanda and move on to the next one. And before we knew it, we were just between the two of us off the IKEA kitchen table, I think month 3 or 4, we're up to kind of 30, 40K with a few deals. When there's 2 of you sitting there, you're like, wow, why didn't we do this earlier?
Yeah, life's getting good then.
Absolutely, yeah. And, from a personal perspective, it gave me the latitude to start to deal with some of the more challenging personal stuff that I had to do, in terms of just being able to see my kids every other weekend and leave early on a Friday. It's hard to do that when you're the MD of a big business.
Where
and
are your kids based?
In Reading.
Right. So
and I'm living in Essex.
Yeah, total opposite.
And I was lucky enough that the leadership team, my peer group and bosses at Salt, used to let me leave early every other Friday to do that. But I knew it wasn't right that the MD was walking out early on a Friday on deal day. It's not right. You shouldn't be doing that. But I had to do that for my kids.
Especially when it's not your brand.
Yeah.
Whereas now, how do you structure it now?
I affectionately use the term digital nomad. So people get judged on their output, not what time they get to their desk or leave their desk. And as you know, Sean, we haven't even got desks as of December the 3rd. We've gone totally digital. So the way that we run the business now is very much around people weaving their lives into the purpose that they fulfill within our team, rather than expecting them to differentiate the two. You know, we're a very embracing business when it comes to the individuals' personalities and personal circumstances that come with each of our lives at Red Holt. So there's a massive amount of flexibility, but, you know, I think a lot of recruitment leaders get scared of that. I think there's an undercurrent of paranoia in a lot of recruitment leadership, and maybe it's because I wasn't brought up in recruitment that I don't have that. I don't harbour that feeling.
Yeah, do you know what? I think it's probably similar to me doing what I'm doing in marketing for recruitment. I mean, I didn't work in marketing, right? Ever.
Yeah.
Never. So it's the same as you. I'm ludicrous, really. People think I'm an idiot, but. And at times I thought the same thing, but I was, one thing I knew was, as a recruiter, I backed myself to find people around me that could deliver what I thought was necessary. I feel like in 2016, I didn't know what it was exactly going to be like, but I knew that marketing was going to play a bigger piece in recruitment. And whilst the initial plan was all about me for my recruitment company, then I felt like actually the scalability of helping others is bigger. Yeah. And that's what. But it's insane that I was able to come into it and have absolutely no preconceived conception of what marketing should look like, an agency could look like. And it went against me in some instances because we priced things the wrong way. Yeah. We structured things the wrong way. But actually as well, we probably did things innovatively that other people who've done 10 years in marketing wouldn't have. Yeah. And I bet you've brought a similar... it's absolutely. Like that naivety. The questions you'd ask are just not what a recruiter would ask.
But you know, the models that I put together at NP Group were put together really quickly because I realised, as managing director of the RPO division, I needed to sound like I knew what I was talking about. Yeah, yeah. So the quickest way to do that was to develop the model, develop the methodology or the standard operating procedure, so that everyone else starts to follow that and it's yours and they're marching to the tune of your drum. And that's what we did. You know, we developed a way of doing role briefings. We developed a way of crystallising a client's decision at the end of a day where they'd done a full range of interviews. And we gave all of these things names. So the product got a real massive sense of identity to it, and that was largely created by myself and a few of the other guys who I was working really closely with at the time. But, you know, if I couldn't learn recruitment because I was trying to be the MD, I couldn't learn it being a consultant, so I invented it. You know, I came up with the product that became really successful at MP Group as their RPO proposition.
Love it. So let's go back, because this is how I do it. I'm chronologically working my way through, and we'll keep moving away, as you know. Yeah. But 40, 50 grand's coming in. Yeah. You're now living, you're getting excited. You can see your kids. Financially, I'm sure your mortgage is no longer as big concern. But it is perm. All perm. So again, there's no the continuity. You need to make sure you're banking enough to forecast. So how did that first year progress through month 4 onward?
So we kept it to just Amanda and myself.
All first year?
Yeah. And then towards the end of that year, we realised we were at a juncture that was really important, actually, Sean, which was that if we started to turn away a lot of the business that we were now being offered because of the success we'd generated for those clients, we wouldn't realise it, but they'd stop giving us all of the business. So, you know, if you start saying no, someone else is saying yes. Amanda's sister had been working in a healthcare recruitment business, and we offered her a job, Ellis. And so we kept it in the family business. And Ellis came in.
We call it the mafia.
Yeah, it's a similar type of thing.
We call it the mafia.
Essex mafia.
Keep people around you that. No, but you keep people that you trust close, right?
Well, I love Ellis and we have a great relationship, but having that family feeling means that sometimes we can be really hard with each other and push each other in ways that you just couldn't if you only had a collegiate relationship. So, we brought Ellis in. She did really well. She embraced the learning that she had on healthcare and took it into technology, came up to speed quickly.
Was that at the end of year 1?
That was at the end of year 1.
So what did you bill in year 1 between you?
I think year 1, at the end of year 1, it was 600k.
Wow. That's pretty impressive.
We were so proud of that.
I bet, yeah.
And most of that was just me and Amanda.
That's insane, mate. That's one of the best I've heard, I think, in terms of 2 people. A lot of people have had investment and hired 9 people and done $1 million, but that's really, really impressive. So that gives you the capital to then do what you want at that point.
Yeah, and we didn't want to make it complicated. We wanted to build on the simplicity. So, and what's always been really core to me, agnostic of sector, is the person, that you bring in. I often will be sitting in a restaurant or something like that, and the waiter serving me will be so good. I'll say to Amanda, that person would be brilliant in recruitment, because it doesn't matter that they're a waiter now. You just know from the build, from their attention to detail, 100%. How warm they are, the way they engage with you. You just think that guy would be brilliant.
There's a company called Oyster Partnership who I interviewed Sasha in season 1. Hopefully he's listening, and he's got a guy called Rob Murray, who's one of his main men in the business. This guy, Irish guy, you can just meet him, you know he's the top of the tree. He was in the fish restaurant opposite their office, and the day they saw him apparently like 3-4 times, and then the day they'd had a few beers, they were like, let's just get this guy in.
100%.
He goes, it's my last shift, and they were like, so he was an actor trying to do acting as well as working in a restaurant, but he'd given up on it. He was like, I'm going to go get a job. So they caught the day they asked him, he'd finished. Anyway, he's now their like top biller or whatever, and it's an amazing story. I do believe recruiters come from such different walks of life. I remember so I went from uni into sales, into teaching, into recruitment. It's a bit of a random one, but I basically was like, at the end of uni, I was like, sales is for me. I want to earn money. I like communicating. I fucking hated my degree. Couldn't stand it. And I went via Pareto Law. Got me all these interviews. I was interviewing at like construction software companies in Nottingham and all. Anyway, I saw this advert on Gumtree, $, sales and marketing, direct sales and marketing. I was like, oh, that sounds good. What it was door to door, right? So I went out.
Great way to learn.
No money, commission only. I was selling charities door to door in Sheffield, Rotherham, Doncaster and Barnsley, and fucking hell, that was an experience. So I joined in August, I think it was, and just after my degree, turned 21, went there, and had a great I was earning 500 quid a week. I was doing deals. I was their fastest guy off the ground. I had like a team of 15, got flown to Germany. So actually, I was doing well, but I remember I used to get probably once a week, someone would chase me down the street and offer me a job or offer me an interview, because I clearly had something that I was offering people.
The funny thing is, the people that have been most successful at Red Holt have not come from recruitment. No. One of them was selling Sky door to door, a foreign exchange trader, a pro golfer from the US tour, a state agent, not even in sales, in the operational back office. And these are people that have got an drive, ambition, appreciation for what it's like being in a role where you can't hide. You're knocking door to door, Sean. You ain't going to hide once that door opens. You got to perform. Yeah, exactly.
We used to have one line, it was like, don't worry, I'm not as bad as I look. 50% of the time you got to laugh. 50% of the time you just look at
door shut. Yeah.
Oh, God. I worked with one guy, fucking lunatic. I can't remember his full name, but I remember he used to try and be funny. Like, he was obsessed with trying to make people laugh, and he was good at it. And I remember he was once... As do you know when you get them stony paveways, people's houses have stones in the ground,
so they can hear you coming.
Yeah, but anyway, as he knocked, he'd just be walking around picking up stones and dropping them, and then open the door and go, like, "What the fuck? What are you doing?" He'd be like, "I'm just counting your stones," and like they'd laugh. It always opened them up. But I remember I got to December, and I'd been to my best mate, my business partner now, Amma. He'd had an accident when I got this job, and so he came back, got fit, got a job in a school. Because we did teach a degree basically, and he was working from 8 till 3, and then he was going to the gym or whatever, and I was knocking on my first door at 3 o'clock, and it was pissing rain, December. I was feeling like crap. I was eating rubbish on the road. I was making all right money, and I was about to knock on my first door, and he texted me going, "Oh, I'm on my way home," and I was like,
something's wrong.
What am I doing here? And then I went into teaching, but I still ended up in sales because I missed it. I missed
absolutely.
it. But I do believe, that's why we started the Connects business, because I genuinely believe that there's so many people that are not in recruitment today that would love it if they actually knew it was a viable career.
Yeah,
absolutely. They actually don't. We live in this recruitment bubble where we know it exists, but people don't. People don't know it's right, and they could have a great career. So, told me the first year 2, then 600 grand bill, amazing. You got your family in. How does that year progress?
We got an office. We decided the main reason we got an office was because the kitchen table that we'd been sitting at only had benches, which was fine for me. But Ellis started getting a bad back.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah.
So we had to get an office. If Ellis has got a problem, we got to get an office. So we got an office at Regis in Brentwood.
Okay.
And I felt like such a big step at the time. It really did. Massive. I got an office so seriously. Like it was. It was a proper office.
Yeah.
And we got a big Red Holt thing on the wall. It was awesome. It was fantastic. And then things started to snowball. The guy that sold me my membership at the golf club where I'm a member, it was a golf pro, and I said he'd be fantastic. So I brought in John. He's been our top biller many times now. John's amazing, and we brought John in. Then there's 4 of us, you know, and we're like, well, this is changing. Something's happening. And then we got an RPO deal. And at that point, we reached a really strategic juncture. So we're kind of 3 months into year 2.
Yeah.
And Amanda and I sat there and thought, we've got an RPO opportunity here, global RPO, that I know I can do because of all the stuff I've done at MP Group. I'll go and run that for 6 months. And with the income from that will give us the air cover. I mean, there's a lot of money coming in from that. With the income from that will give us the air cover commercially to build the exec search side of the business. So that's what we did. We kind of forked off into 2 different directions. I did the RPO stuff, the volume stuff.
Did you did the recruitment and the...
We built a team. We recruited people. Yeah, so we recruited people to do that for a massive organisation. No, we brought them in. We employed them. Okay. And, you know, we were recruiting globally for a massive education organisation that were going from print to digital, similar way to a lot of legal companies have. And we did that for 6 months. Brilliant, you know, excellent. I was kind of back to my roots in terms of recruitment. Client loved the solution.
You were on site a lot of the time?
Yeah, we were on and off site. You know, we opened an office in Malaysia, believe it or not, in Kuala Lumpur.
I think the first time I saw you was on Instagram, and it was about either Malaysia or Singapore. It was like Red Holt is global, and I was like, who the hell is this guy? And I looked and I was like, that's awesome. Like, new. And we just flew out there. I mean,
the reason that we did that was because...
Was it Kuala Lumpur?
It was Kuala Lumpur. We looked at Thailand. Bangkok's too crazy. I love it, but it's too crazy to put an office. Singapore was too expensive. So in the middle, you've got KL and a place called KLCC. Brilliant infrastructure, really cosmopolitan, lots of international people, and economically much more beneficial than Singapore, much less mental than Bangkok. So we put an office there, and that was brilliant because it meant that in a follow the sun way we could service everything from ANZ through to Dubai, and then once we started up in Europe we could pick up with the team in Brentwood and service everything right from Dubai through to New York. So it was just awesome. It worked fantastic well, and then that particular customer took care of North America themselves.
How many people did you hire for that project?
We had 4 people on that and me.
Wow.
So we did that for 6 months, and it was really while that organisation was sorting out their in-house capability. So once they'd done that, we helped them hire the leadership team for their in-house capability. Still really close to them, still fill roles contingently for them. But it meant that we'd built this really strong spine to the exec search business then. So we've never done an RPO since, we don't intend to. But then what we've got is this awesome methodology. So we've actually got this product now. We're not just doing find a role, fill a role. Actually, we've got this step-by-step methodology on what we do, on how we capture a role briefing, what we do on how quickly we step up to stipulating the milestones associated to filling that role. And at every single juncture, making sure that we're imparting confidence and assuring our client.
Project management to recruitment.
Yeah, bang on. Yeah,
makes sense, though,
that's it. And that's what we've done since. But we've introduced technology. We've introduced different ways of screening and evaluating, and what we've got now...
You're using video software?
We're using video, yeah, absolutely.
What do you use for video interviewing?
We use video.
Okay.
So the way we use that is when we submit a shortlist, we're submitting 3 video clips, a thorough evaluation with the specific methodology that we use for that client.
And all your interviews are remote from Zoom or whatever. Like you use it all video and technology.
What we also do when we're doing a speculative approach to the market, instead of specking out, just spamming people with it, we're actually packaging up using video interviews and going to people who actually haven't asked you to approach them and using a hook to say, look, actually what we've got here, we've invested a lot of time in crafting so that when they look at it on any device, they can actually get a look and feel of what that candidate represents, rather than just, I've got an awesome CV, do you fancy taking a look? Which to anyone feels cheap nowadays.
Yeah. It's actually amazing since I started this business, and similar time to you, how much video has come into the industry. It's incredible.
Couldn't agree more.
From video interviewing to people walking down the street with their iPhone. When I started, I didn't see a single video on LinkedIn, and now you couldn't even natively post one then. Now it's like your feed is just dominated by it, right?
I agree, absolutely.
But it's using it well, and it's using it to your advantage. I think that's
I think there will always be a next generation thing. I mean, at the moment it's video, right? And maybe you and I are early innovators when it comes to doing that and experimenting and learning that.
I hope so, but
and what I can see is a lot of the market picking up on that now, which I think is great. But I'm assured by the fact that there will be a next thing.
Oh, of course,
and I'll be an early innovator on the next thing as well.
That's it. So those 4 people you hired for the RPO, did you hold on to them?
We held on to 2 of them.
Yeah.
You know, their desire to work in RPO. One of the girls went to work in the government, actually, afterwards. But we just focused entirely on contingent and the exec search side of things. And, you know, there's a reason that people go in-house. There's a reason that people choose to be an RPO recruiter. There's a reason that people choose to be an exec search, so agency. So, you know, that was what we focused on. That was our identity, and that's what it is now.
So that's all sounded super, super positive. It really does, but it can't be all positive. So in that first year and a half, 2 years, what went wrong? What wasn't so great?
Well, you know, I think Mark in the last podcast was talking about the same thing, and it just resonated with me so much. It's the biggest irony of any sector to me is that the problem we solve for our clients is our biggest problem, and it's talent. And it's not that it doesn't exist, it's just finding the right accent on that talent for what you're doing. I mean, all of the people that I've had through the business have been great people. I think the world of them. But not all of them have been right for us. And that's tough. You know, that's really tough when you see people come and go, and it's kind of costly.
Putting money in, time in.
Yeah, all of that. And so that's hard as a small business. I think as we've grown, one of the frontiers that I've faced in terms of challenges and had to really stare in the eye is AR, accounts receivables, and making sure that from a cash flow and cash availability perspective, we've got our eyes on the numbers. You know, I started my first business called Projectory when I was 19. I sold it when I was 23.
Wow.
And I remember, David, that was project management, recruitment. And
so it was recruitment?
It was recruitment. We placed people into places like Nationwide, and I sold that to a consultancy called Cube in Henley.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a great experience. And a lot of the people had influenced me heavily. I mean, I was 23 years old, sold my business, got what I thought was an amazing deal. It was an amazing deal. You know, I bought an apartment and a new M3 and had nothing left to show of what was left, and didn't know about capital gains tax at the time either. So that was painful. But what I learned from that, from a guy called David Barker, that was the chairman at Cube and was working with Barclays Venture Capital, was cash is king. And I've always got that at the back of my mind with Red Holt. And, you know, we've never taken any investment. We've never had any debt. We're in a great cash availability perspective, and our GP and net profit is super healthy in terms of what flows down from the top line. And that intimacy with business, I think, again, goes back to my background, you know, working for the venture capital company in Sweden where they run everything by spreadsheets. And then at MP Group, where it was real strong discipline around knowing your numbers. It might seem old-fashioned nowadays, but there's a lot to be said for that.
I don't think it is at all. I think even as a business, we brought our finance function in-house, or semi-in-house. We had a completely outsourced finance function. Now we've got someone who's a few days a week, but she's changed our whole company. Like, she's put financial controls in everywhere, and it's like, it's been a game changer. I
think, you know, the digital revolution and the way that systems like Xero now, you can set up and configure.
See everything.
You not only see everything, but they do the chasing for you. And we set our reminders up to actually remind people before the payment is due. So we send them a polite, just heads up, you're going to owe me X amount next week. All okay? If there's any problems, let us know now so we can sort it out. But, you know, using that sort of stuff has made us even more ruthless. Have you had any challenges, though? We've definitely had challenges. You know, unfortunately, I think we're on the brink of our first court case.
Really?
And in 3 years, I've never had to do that. And I thoroughly believe you should work as hard as you can to stay out of court and to stay away from all of that crap. It's toxic, it pollutes, it distracts. And the chances are a client that you've been through that with, you ain't going to do business with again. So it's really unfortunate, but you know, at the end of the day, you've got to remember you are a business. You've got to have conviction about what your value is in the marketplace, and therefore, if someone owes you money, you need to get that money. That is your money. So you got to exhaust any means necessary to do so.
You've had a client who's just not paid.
Yeah, I mean, there's the terms of our contract are very clear. We've made multiple placements for them in very hard circumstances, and then 153 days after a payment is overdue, they've decided that they want to change the terms on that. That's not how you do it.
Especially when you're a small company. I mean, you've
exactly.
But
and they're much bigger than us. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's that kind of bully boy tactics.
I don't buy it.
No. So, I mean, when does that all look like it's going to take shape?
Not sure. I mean, you kind of go into the realms of how long a legal proceeding will take once you do that, which is another reason why it's just boring more than anything.
How does that affect you mentally when you're trying to do your job?
It bothers me a little bit, not massively, if I'm honest, because I know that I've tried everything to WhatsApp, text, call, email, the chief exec, the CFO, the accounts payable department. I've exhausted everything before I go down that route. So from, the needle on my moral compass knows what the magnetic north is in terms of the direction I'm headed in. And they've tried to challenge it, and I've said, look, guys, the horse has bolted. This is it. So it doesn't affect me massively, if I'm honest.
You're okay day to day cracking on because
100%. Like, the minute later, we're lucky enough to have. We've created a great relationship with the company that do all of our accounting. I've toyed with bringing an FD in. But don't get me wrong, they're not perfect, but no one's perfect. No. And I actually think that great relationships are formed through turbulence a lot of the time. Yeah, we've had our challenge. We got payroll wrong loads of times. There'd be a thing for you. And I kept having to apologise to my own team and giving the accountants a bollocking and saying, we can't get this wrong. This is people's personal economy. These people believe in our brand. I want them to love working for us. And then we're messing up their payments. It's the most basic of things, why they turn up. But we got there, we persevered with the same accounting company, and now we've got just a fantastic relationship with them because we've learned the texture of each other's personalities as individuals and businesses. So, I'd say that when you need to use third parties, choose wisely and stick with it. If it's right and you know in your heart that it's the right thing to do, stick with it, because I think loyalty has got a certain unique type of equity associated to it.
100%. So how did year 2 progress?
Fantastic. So it's kind of...
So you got that RPO done.
We got the RPO done. What started to emerge in year 2 was big deals, and the noise of the change dropping to the bottom line that puts a smile on your face. I mean, we started working with private equity and venture capital companies. Right. And what they loved and still love about our proposition, again, is the accelerated pace that we move at and the way that it's all documented. Because, again, they're buying these assets, distressed assets sometimes, and they're guys that make the decision on whether or not to do that based on spreadsheets. So they don't want loads of interaction with the recruiter. They just want to know forensically what you're going to do, when you're going to do it, and you better bloody do it.
And I think one thing I found in recruitment, which baffles me today, is still that they kind of go to a meeting with a black book and just take notes. And it's, if you go to a mortgage broker, they fill in a form. If you go to an insurance company, they fill in a form. Yeah. Recruiters don't always fill in a form, and I think it's insane, really. We take briefs, and I know there is, I'm not saying everyone, but a lot of agencies kind of go, well, I've got loads of experience, I'll go and meet them, I'll pick up the brief, I'll do it, it's fine. Whereas with Hoxo, now we've got a process for everything, and it's like, there's your red flags. And I think when you're dealing with someone who's as impressive as a private equity company, they're not going to, that's not going to fly. But the thing
that, we'll have all seen lots of recruiters do, is basically recite the job description to the hiring manager in the role briefing. That's the biggest waste of time, I think. Because, number one, you can read that yourself. Number two, the hiring manager's like, mate, I wrote this document, so why are you reading it back to me? You're not understanding anything more from this conversation than you would just by reading the document. So what we've developed in our role briefings is a complementary procedure to the job description that explores different dimensions of what that hiring manager is really looking for under the skin of the JD. So what it means is that by the time we come off that role briefing with the job description and our 4Ps methodology for doing a role briefing, we can weave a really magnetic pitch when we go to market. And we just pick different elements of what we've picked up from the 4Ps to offer. What
are the Ps, can you say?
No, I'd rather
it
not.
is the secret sauce.
Yeah. But do you know what? There's hundreds of people out there that I've trained on that.
Well.
Yeah, exactly.
So many P's out there.
But do you know what the thing is? It's not complicated. And actually, this is the secret that's not a secret, Sean. You could choose whatever piece you want, but it's a bit like a golf swing or practicing how you come out of the blocks on a 100-meter sprint. It's the same thing every time, and that's where you get good because you can become fluent at doing it. It's like muscle memory. The more fluent you become, the more assurance you impart.
You can tell by looking at me, I've got that covered.
Muscle memory all over you, mate. Absolutely. But that's where it comes from, because then the way that you talk about it in front of the client when you're taking the role briefing just oozes credibility because you have done it a million times.
Yeah, it just comes straight out. Okay, so you start doing big deals. What were your numbers in year 2?
900.
Wow, steady growth.
Yeah, it's very steady.
And then you're at the end of year 3 now. Where are you at?
Yeah, we just closed out year 3.
All right, so how has the last year been? And I know you've gone on this digital transformation.
Yeah.
So talk me through how that's evolved.
So first of all, we've made sure that everything's in the cloud. I mean, we're placing a lot of people, infrastructure as a service, payments as a service, software as a service, everything as a service. So, we're looking at it and thinking, what about recruitment as a service? That should be in the cloud as well. We built the whole business on G Suite for Business, Xero, fantastic ATS that we were in love with. Job Adder, we'd used a different one before.
Really, Job Adder's a good business.
We love Job Adder. It works so well
for
us.
Sales guy today is in London, Ben.
Yeah, absolutely. I looked at the market really closely because the one that we'd been using before hadn't worked, and I'd wasted my money on it because I didn't feel passionately about it. I couldn't ask my guys with any degree of conviction that they should use it.
Yeah.
So
Job Adder's super simple, isn't it? Australian based.
Yeah. Do you know what I love about it? The personality, apart from the functionality, which is wicked, and the app and all that, it's a Spotify-based commercial model. So if you're not happy with it, just cut it off.
Yeah.
You're not locked into an 18-month contract, which is so 1990, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Just turn it off. And, what it does is create the compelling reason for them to give you good service. I mean, you look at the Job Adder Twitter feed, what they do is they post all of their comments, good and bad, about people's service resolutions. Now, talk about transparent business. I love that.
Yeah, I like it. So you've got the CRM, everything else in the cloud.
Everything in the cloud. And then I looked around and I thought, you know what? The things that are affecting the amount of change dropping to the bottom line, what's the biggest thing now? And it's the office. I mean, the most old-fashioned
And do
aspect.
you have the Malaysia?
We've handed Malaysia's gone.
Yeah, that was
we didn't
just
need
for the
that
project.
anymore. Yeah, we didn't need that anymore. And so we got rid of that. I don't get precious about holding on to costs. I think you need to be very wary of that as a business owner.
Essex based?
All of the team are Essex based, all around Essex. We decided to get rid of the office. So as of December 3rd, we haven't got an office. But we've got a few rules that underpin being digital nomads.
Yeah,
so
this
we
is
always
something I really want to talk about. So
yeah, we always start the week together, and sometimes that's at my house. We get everyone over for breakfast, and we've got a big table, so we'll do the sales kick-off while we're all having toast and talking about
awesome.
what's going on. It's fantastic.
Sorry, just to JJ's behind the camera. JJ, you remember we used to do something called Monday Movement when we were a startup. So in the first year, you remember this. We had loads of videos. We used to film it every Monday.
Yeah.
We'd do our afternoon meeting with the team. From a different location around London.
I love that.
Sometimes different locations with Berlin one week, and then we'd make a quick video. Jay would usually video and edit it up, and then we'd post it on social, and people would guess where we were.
Yeah,
We didn't get that much engagement, but we got bits involved. But it made it fun in the early days. I mean, we grew out of it, but it was so fun. Like one day we're at the top of the Meet, London, and then the next week we're in Bermondsey Street, and it just kept
awesome.
varying.
Great locations as well. I love Bermondsey at the moment. Do you know the other thing that I've noticed in a practical sense, in terms of value that it adds, when people are getting up and the alarm clock goes off at the same time every day, they do the same trudge, driving in or getting the train every day to the same room, to sit at the same desk, listen to the same whingers around them, all that sort of stuff. When you're working at different locations and you're working at Kitty Hawk in Moorgate or all these different awesome locations, we use a company now called &Co.
Right.
They're fantastic. They're like you get a card, I think it's 30, 40, even 50 quid per user per month. And they've got 80 locations, and you can reserve those locations all around London. So our guys have got an office. It's just not one location, it's wherever they want. So we start the week with each other.
So how does it work? So if I wanted to...
You go online, there's an app. You just
can
reserve
say,
the spaces you want. Sophie's as well in, over in Soho. It's an awesome steak bar.
Sophie Steakhouse?
Yeah.
We had our first ever Christmas party there.
So we use that quite often as our office.
It's just by Trafalgar Square, isn't it?
Yeah, it's awesome. Fantastic. Yeah, near the Trocadero.
Yeah.
But so that's another location we use frequently. But what we say to the guys is, just because we've got a mobile working policy doesn't mean you have to sit at home on your own.
Yeah.
You can work from anywhere you want.
So
get on the WhatsApp group. Yeah, go and work from Cannes. Get on the WhatsApp group, work out who else you're collaborating with within the business, and choose somewhere cool to work and go there.
Do you not find
be liberated from
do people not
conventional
enjoy being
working.
around each other?
Yeah, they do. Yeah. But sometimes you just want to get in the zone at home, and the presentation that I showed you earlier, I spent the last 2 days at home just making that, so I knew that everything in it was perfect. But I'm a really collaborative person. In fact, I'd say that's my personal signature. And I'll be on the WhatsApp group and say, guys, shall we? I love the Kitty Hawk in Moorgate, so I'll be like, I'm going to be there today. Do you fancy meeting up there? Working from home doesn't have to mean you be isolated.
Yeah. And do you have video internally? Like, do you just talk on video calls?
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things that we try and encourage as much as possible is, if you're going to call each other and it's a day when we're all working remotely or you're not together, try and do it on FaceTime so that you see each other, you look into each other's eyes. I mean, that's an underused aspect of digital frontiers now.
Well, we use the G Suite, and there's the Google Hangout.
Yeah.
We actually use Zoom for working with clients because the quality's a bit better. You can record it. But Hangout's really good because we use Google Chat instead of WhatsApp.
Yeah.
So I actually moved from WhatsApp to Google Chat. It was a conscious thing a year ago because we had all the team. The main thing was, when you're in WhatsApp, you're also using it personally. So, for example, if I got a message from the team, but my wife had already messaged me and I didn't really want to respond, not because I was being a dick, because I wanted to be in the zone, it would show that I was online. Yeah. And it was not something we've moved it to Google Chat. Yeah. And it's been a revelation because you can have a desktop app, you got it on your phone, same thing, but it's a conscious work cloud-based solution.
Do you know, I think those sort of things to me in the, this digital moment that we're in are tidal. And by that, what I mean, Sean, is, you can't stop it. No. And I've thought the same way about Facebook and Instagram in the office because, when I was at NP Group, the type of leader that I was that if someone was on Facebook, they'd have got a bollocking. Facebook now, I say, how are we using it? Have we posted our vacancies on Facebook? Who are we reaching out to or identifying? Same with Instagram. How are we making people feel intimate with our brand through our story, through your individual stories or through our Red Holt story? I think that the opportunity with so many channels to reach people nowadays with consistent content, I think it's amazing. I think it's fantastic. It's the power of this moment that we're in right now.
So whilst you've still got an office, you kind of live in the digital side now anyway?
Yeah, absolutely. And as of the 3rd of December, we won't even have that.
Does anyone go to the office now?
No, not as much. No. I mean, no. I can. Do you know what the funny thing is as well? I can see the desks are becoming more sparse. Really? People are moving out physically as well as emotionally. And that's a good sign for me. That's confirming that my team are on that transition.
Is it affecting productivity in any way?
Yeah, positively.
Is it?
100%. Yeah,
deals
absolutely.
are going up.
And people are more awake. Yeah. Because they're more awake to their day and where they're going to be and what they're going to do, rather than being work zombies.
True. So when we have it the same, whilst we've got an office here, there's only 11 people in the office. There's another 9 that work remote. Yeah. And they're permanent remote workers. Yeah. So, and even the people here have an unlimited amount of days from home, and we actually have unlimited annual leave. Like we want it to be that place where, JJ will be sending me clips at Sunday night at 11 o'clock. Yeah. Obviously of myself. I like watching them at Sunday night now. But the point is, when people love what they do, they're engaged with what they do, time isn't actually that important. Yeah. And actually, if he lives in Fulham, he comes all the way over every day, he's moving to Hounslow, you're getting a lot of airtime, Jay.
He's
the main man this week.
I thought it was about us.
Yeah, I know. But he's moving to Hounslow, and it's like, well, that's a big journey to him. So actually, I don't care if you do 2 days at home, 3 days. I don't really give a shit. As long as the output's there.
Yeah, in tangible terms, I think what we're kind of moving towards at this part of the conversation is attrition, which I think is the cancer of recruitment. Many.
We've talked about it.
Yeah, so many organisations now. The main problem is attrition, as we touched on, and a lot of what a lot of business owners have to do in recruitment is make their employees fall in love with their brand. Yeah. It's tribal, and therefore, as a tribe, you need to have a sense of identity, all of that sort of stuff, and a lot of the language that we use, digital nomads, this kind of stuff. And it's not uncommon for our team to say goodnight to each other on the WhatsApp group. Awesome. From the minute we wake up, and I'm an early riser, which is very early, to the minute when we all kind of shut down, generally, I affectionately call it the police radio, because there's always chatter. It's always happening. And we all have WhatsApp on our laptops as well now. So we are well connected, as well connected as we would be sitting in an office with each other.
100%. So, all right, that leaves me with a thought in my head, is what is an average day in the world of Chris Redmond? From the minute you wake up?
I always get up at 5.
5? I read something yesterday, legends either go to bed or wake up at 5 a.m.
Yeah, I like that. I've posted that one a few times.
Oh, yeah, it might have been you that posted
Not recently.
I woke up at 5 a.m. last year for about 3 months.
Yeah.
And it was great. I'll be honest, it was great. But there was a reason I did it, and I'll explain after, but what's your rationale?
I think it comes from working in the city when I worked at Colt, and I like to when I was operations director, I like to be in early, find out what had happened on the network overnight, and if we'd had a big outage or something like that, send an email out to the salespeople so that by the time they got to their desks, if they had clients calling them saying what the bloody hell happened to my network overnight, they'd know what the answer needed to be. That's the first thing. I just do it naturally now, though, honestly. And I get up. I love the feeling of getting a steal on the world.
It's a bit smug, isn't it?
It is a little bit. Yeah. I'm a little bit like, by the time you guys are waking up and having a coffee, I'm 3 hours in. Yeah. You got to run hard to catch up with me.
Wait till. Have you listened to my episode with Lloyd Gordon last
No.
season? This guy's one of our clients who's coming in for a part 2 in a couple of weeks. He gets up at like 2-3 a.m.
Yeah, I've done that a few
Insane.
times. Yeah.
I was in Thailand and he was messaging me, and it was 9 a.m. in Thailand, and I was like, none of my UK clients will be awake.
Yeah.
He was awake.
Yeah. I was actually at 5:30 this morning. I was texting a candidate that we've got in Arizona.
Yeah, I bet.
And I said to him, what's the time where you are? As if he was mad. And he went, it's 11 o'clock where I am, Chris. It's not that late. You're the one that's up at a stupid time. I thought he's got a good point there, actually.
So do you stay at home, get a coffee, get on the laptop? Or
get on the laptop generally. Generally, I get on the laptop. I have Google Alerts set up, and I'd encourage anybody to do this if you're, getting the system, again, digital system, to work on your behalf in an advantageous way is the key. So I set up Google Alerts for so many things, Sean. All of my clients I've got a Google Alert set up for. I've got a Google Alert set up for the CFO, the CEO, and the Chief Revenue Officer by name for all of my clients.
So what happens if they
I go through all of them and find out what's going on. Yeah, so let's say, for example, last week, one of my clients in the market research arena had bought another company. They'd made an acquisition in North America. I emailed their UK MD, Nick, and said, this looks like a fantastic acquisition. I've looked into this business. If there's anything that we can potentially do to help with the transition, if you need temporary or permanent new leaders for the business, let's talk, Nick. I'm in London today. I'm ahead. I'm coming out of the blocks while most people are still rubbing their eyes and waking up. Just by reading those Google Alerts, gives me the feeling of having up-to-date market intel by the time the market's open. So I'll do that generally. A lot of the time I try and get in the gym. I'm lucky enough to have a gym at home, so even if it's just half an hour on the weights, I'll do that.
Yeah.
And then Amanda's getting up, and the WhatsApp group is getting a bit busy, and then we'll head into London or to the office or whatever else.
Do you have any spots out in Essex you like to work?
I haven't at the moment because we've had the office. But I want to, because we've got a few people that are more out towards the coast, and I don't want them to always have to travel into London just because that's convenient for me. But, the thing is for me, I love waking up every morning and kind of not knowing where I'm going to be. I'll decide that day. It drives Amanda mad because she's an organiser. But I'll wake up and I love the fact that, what do I want to do today? It's totally within my gift to decide. If I want to go and work, if I want to work this morning here and this afternoon from, Hilton London Bridge in their hotel lobby, do a few meetings, have a coffee with people, I'll do that. Yeah. And it's totally within my gift to do so.
I love it. So where are we at now? How would you describe where the business is today?
So I think the business is ticking over fantastically well. We're over the £1 million mark when it comes to income.
Awesome.
So that's great, convincingly so, with great gross and net contribution. The team that we've got are fantastic. The tricky moment now that I'm navigating is kind of like the first big juncture that I told you about earlier, which is the amount of business that we've got coming to us is great. It's the most powerful validation of what we do. But the way I respond to it has to be really considered, because especially now that we're getting rid of the office, the next thing for me to navigate is when I bring in the next new person, how do I train them?
Yeah. That was going to be my first question, is how do you train them?
Yeah.
You're going to have to think about cloud-based.
Well, I think what I'm going to do, the word that would spring to mind is incubate them. All right. So we are what we are in terms of a business. They need to get used to that, and they need to love being a part of that rather than us adjusting. That's not possible, us adjusting. So in that 60 to 90 days, as a leader, as a serving leader, I would put myself out. I'd make sure that I'm bringing them into and acclimatizing them to the digital way that we work and being more flexible. Being with them, telling them where we're going to meet, what day we're going to meet, just working from there. For example, if it were the Kitty Hawk, saying, look, let's meet up there, we'll have breakfast with each other while we're talking about our day plan, what we need to achieve, and then we'll just work from there, And I think that what I've seen with people before is that they almost have this shock moment of, wow, is this really happening? Am I lucky enough to be able to do this? And we're lucky enough to have a great house in Spain, and we fly the whole team over to Spain fairly regularly, and we all work from there. We put the team up in the hotel that's in the resort, and Amanda and I stay at the house, and everyone comes to the house, and we work from there in the day.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and like Meg, fantastic lady that works for us. And I remember the first time we brought Meg out to the house, and she was like, I can't believe this. It's like being on the X Factor studio finals. You know, I'm
Whereabouts
here.
in Spain?
It's in a place called Murcia on a golf course called La Finca.
Wow.
It's fantastic. Yeah, it's beautiful. But again, we're so lucky to do that. But we want to gift that to the people that work with us, so that when they're talking to their family and friends and girlfriends and all of that, the reaction that they get is, wow, I want to work for the company you work for.
Yeah. But training salespeople or recruiters, and you're going to go for people with sales experience or life experience,
client-facing exposure is what I would say.
They don't need to be recruiters.
No.
Have you mapped out that training program, the
100%.
academy?
I know that really well.
Dates and numbers and
I know
lines
that really well. I've got that content now.
Yeah, I imagine you've got a program that is regimented to the team.
It is. The first week is intense. The first week that anyone joins us, I mean, Meg is the great would be a massive advocate of this. I mean, Meg joined us 8 months ago or so. She'd been working as an operation manager at a big estate agent in the city. No sales-facing experience, no desire to be a salesperson. But you know, that first week, I spent 6 to 8 hours a day with her, walking her through everything, taking my time, letting her mentally explore the things that I was saying, asking her what her opinion was, and then exploring why she thought that if she wasn't aligned to what I knew the reality to be, so that adjustment could happen, because it does take time. You know, you've got to get your arms around somebody. And Meg's been our top biller for the last 2 months, you know, secretly, although everyone else will know this when you release the podcast. I'm cautiously optimistic that she'll get a hat trick and be our top biller this month as well. So, but for someone that's been in recruitment for 8 or 9 months, it will be then, makes me so proud to see that type of performance. So the model is
you win the business, and then it's delivered by the team.
Yeah.
What about the missus? Is she winning the business or delivering?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say that in the classic way, Amanda.
Sorry, I forgot her name. That's why I said the missus. It sounds quite rude.
I say the same thing quite regularly.
Sorry, Amanda, if you're listening.
Amanda's a farmer. So, you know, she's got these great accounts, global accounts, where she works at a really senior level, and she will farm and harvest from the relationships and from the credibility of her performance that they recognise her for. I'm a hunter. You know, I like to get out there, make new relationships, because I know when I'm on my feet doing a talk and chalk in front of a new client, I can convince them. Yeah. I can win hearts and minds because of what we do and because of my ability to talk about it passionately but clearly too. Yeah. So, you know, that complement, it works really well in terms of business generation from new clients and incremental clients.
The thing is, I'm getting energy off you now. I feel like you could like run out of the room. There's something, even when you sit still, you're moving. So like, I can feel that in front of a client, you would bring that to the table, and people would be like, you talk about this rapid recruitment model. Yeah. Well, the fact is, you bring a rapidness with your aura. Yeah. That'll be hard to replicate. Yeah. So to find people that can bring that, like you can bring it.
I encourage anyone. You know, I've got a lot of mates that own it. My brother owns a recruitment company. I've developed a fantastic social network and hopefully lifelong friends in recruitment. And I would always encourage any of them to make themselves the personification of their brand. I mean, I'm collaborative, I'm warm, I like to move fast, don't procrastinate, make decisions. And if you've got the strength to make a decision, chances are if it's wrong, you'll have enough strength to make a corrective decision. Yeah. You know, that's me. Other people are different, you know, and I think that as a leader, you need to play to that, because it seeps through into your product, I think.
How has content and brand helped? Because you've been quite consistent. Like, of all the agencies I see, like I knew you straight away. Like, I said it about Mark Gaisford. I didn't know you guys personally, but I instantly remember them as a Malaysia move. I remember it, right? So you've documented your journey. How has that impacted the sales and the ability to win business?
It's fascinating, actually. You know, I genuinely think it creates gravity. And for anybody out there who listens to the negs saying, oh, social media is a distraction and it's for kids and all that, not anymore. No. It isn't. I mean, the amount of attraction we get through stuff that I put on LinkedIn generally, but you'll know, Sean, I use the same content on Facebook, LinkedIn, and on Instagram, and I'll download it and put it on all 3 channels. And then they're the windows to Red Holt for the world. And the amount of interest that I get, for example, when we took the team to Dubai, I had 2 companies that I was not dealing with, people that I knew, but I was not trading with their companies, write to me and say, you guys clearly understand sales and how to motivate salespeople. We want you to hire salespeople for us. One was in both in the Nordics. One was in Sweden.
Wow.
But and that was because we were putting content online that gave people a proximity to our brand and us.
Yeah, they feel like they know.
We talk about the brand, but actually that's the people. That's what is in a story or a post on LinkedIn or whatever. It's the people, and creating proximity and intimacy consistently will keep you front of mind for the market.
I just think, look, if you think about your LinkedIn profile as your primary place in professional services, there's not a recruiter out there that gets more traffic on their website than they get on their profiles. So if they're any good, they're going to be DMing people, viewing people, speaking to people. Daily, they're getting a couple of hundred views or whatever, right? And then you look at the company amplification of that. If you've got 10 recruiters, 8 recruiters, 20 recruiters, 30, daily, that's a lot of traffic. Whereas we all spend thousands on websites. It's like this absolute must when it comes to any business, especially recruitment. Get the website right, proposition, fancy, blah, 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 job boards. But social is actually a bigger driver of traffic. You're going to get more eyeballs on you. I mean, the amount of people this week I've spoken to, and the first thing I do is look at their LinkedIn account, and I go, I'm reading your personal account. The About You section on your LinkedIn is you. Yeah. It's not your company. Yeah. It's not a sell for the company. It's who the fuck is you, like Sean Anderson? Who is it, right? Yeah. And then when you read it, like I've got a blurb about me, and then it links to why I started Hoxo. When you then look, I've got a different write-up about Hoxo in the company section. Most recruitment, they don't even have what they do in there. They just have companies, we are 9 years, blah, 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 blah. Here's my email, get in touch. And it's like, you're not standing out. No. I went to an event 2 weeks ago, and there's a lad who, hopefully he's listening. I really like meeting him. A guy called Sean, I think it's Sean Green, works for NIA people in Birmingham. And this lad, I'm running a room, there's 50 recruiters in there, TRN Recruitment Rumble. So it's a lot of people from day one.
I remember seeing you doing it, actually.
Day one to managers, and I'm talking about the impact of personal brand. Often it's quite hard to relate to an audience because I don't know them, but this guy walks in and he's got an interesting haircut. Like, imagine mine now, but whack the sides right off, and it's longer. It's like a Peaky Blinder cut. Yeah. And he's got a mustache. And I was looking at him, and I was like, as he walked in, I was like, I know that guy. And then I realised, is I had no idea what his name was. Yeah. I had no idea who he worked for, but I remembered his face, his hair, and his strapline said, this profile has nothing to do with my job unless my boss is asking. And I was like, that is fucking gold. It is. And instantly I went, personal brand, I know you're the guy with that. And he laughed, and everyone was like, oh, and it's true. And to me, that one line stood out above any recruiter, and I've got 20,000 contacts in the industry now. That profile is more memorable than anyone else.
Amazing.
For me. So it's like, your website, you're never going to write that. But what could you do with your social profiles? What could you do with your Instagram? Like, I've actually not invested as much time in Instagram over the last 3 months. Consciously put more time into LinkedIn. Yeah. And I'm going to bring Instagram back. And I think it's a different focus for me. It's more about me and my personal life, my wife, I want people to connect with me as a human. Mm-hmm. LinkedIn's definitely going to be more about me as an owner of a business. But still, like you said, there's a part to play there where brands can connect, clients, candidates can feel like you're not this one recruiter that rang about one job. Yeah. You're Chris Redmond, you're the owner of a business.
It's so important nowadays. I think that conveying the texture of your personality and what you're all about, even if you don't want people to, if you're in any degree of mid to senior level management, people can find out stuff about you. You go on YouTube and Google your name and type your name in, look at the stuff. I mean, people will find out stuff about you. So being aware of that is something that allows you to make a decision about your posture towards it. Yeah, sure. And I think that one element that is particularly pertinent in how people make that decision is the fear factor nowadays. The cyber attacks and how much you put out there and what people are going to do when they're tracking your life and all this sort of stuff. Everyone's got to make their own personal decision about that. But I think professionally, if you're not making a decision about how to use those channels, then you're going to find it harder to reach your potential.
It's going to get harder and harder. So this leaves me to a nice point of where are we heading? Like, what's the future for Red Holt? So you're now moving into a very exciting period, 4th year, no office, cash in the bank. What's next? What's the future?
Well, the immediate future over the next few weeks is baby number 3 for me.
Oh, wow.
Amanda's going to have a baby at some point.
That. Congrats, mate.
3rd of November.
So does that mean you're running the business on your own at the minute?
Well, knowing Amanda, within hours of that baby being born, she'll be back on email. And we've all been having a joke with her and telling her to slow down a bit, but it's just not in her build. But, you know, the way that we've configured the team and the competence level that we've got everybody to will mean that Amanda, if she chooses to, which hopefully she will, can turn the volume down a bit.
Paternity leave,
well, for the first, I'm intending on taking every Thursday for the next year and spending it with baby.
Really?
Papa Man Thursdays.
I like that.
So, you know, I didn't get to do it with my kids before because I was travelling all around the world extensively, and being a father is the peak of things that I'm most proud of in my life. I want to make sure that with this one, I do everything I can to spend time with it, be it a boy or a girl. From a business perspective, I think that probably for the next 2 years about staying excellent, you know, keeping what we've got, getting stronger, more fluent, more convincing about why we're magnetic for mid to senior level appointments, and our methodology as well, not being scared to evolve that and fine tune it. Beyond that, when baby goes to school and Amanda and I are both back on it full time, I think it will be a big decision around, you know, is this going to be an exit or is it going to be an investment? Because if we can maintain the ratios that we are at the moment in terms of top and bottom line, we've got to be extremely attractive from an investment perspective. And if we wanted to scale up in whatever way that might be, we don't lack the intellectual horsepower to design a model that would facilitate that. And we're intimate enough with our numbers, and our numbers are all going in the right direction. So if any of that changes, which hopefully it won't, then unless any of that changes, then, you know, we might be going to market and trying to attract some investment, or we might even be seeing what an exit or a JV might look like, or anything like that. But, you know, I think it'll continue to get exciting, Sean. I really do. And
so actually, it's quite an open vision, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
Could go many.
Yeah, it's probably one of the only times in my life, again going back to where we started, where everything else has got a direction, a destination, apart from Red Holt. You know, Red Holt facilitates a lot of things for me in terms of lifestyle and things that I want to do and things that make me happy. And at the moment, I don't feel compelled to put a stop line, a finish line on that. You know, that's fine. Let's just keep going. Let's keep getting better. It's a bit like you know, a golf swing and Tiger Woods, I suppose. Yeah, it's the same thing, but you can always be better at doing it.
Yeah. And look, you've already mentioned you've got a digital workforce. You've got a young child coming. You've got house in Spain. I'm sure you like visiting.
I love it.
There's a lot in there that you're enjoying the finer things in life as well as earning and growing something. So that's exciting. And we've not talked about the whole, how do you run a company with your wife? Mm-hmm. So like, or is it your wife or your partner?
Yeah. I mean, we're married. We got married last year.
Congrats. I've been through that, but I'm not going to keep talking about that on this episode. And I confirmed this week she does not listen to this. So she's like, I don't have time. I'm like, oh, piss off. You watch Hollyoaks about
You better hope she doesn't listen to it, mate.
Well, I'll get a clip and that'll be about it. But I did have a lady in last week. It's not gone live yet. When we're recording, it will be live when this is released. Who owns a recruitment company with a fiance, and they've got a child. She's pregnant and heavily pregnant. How have you found that?
Amanda and I work better with each other than without each other. And I'm not saying that isn't without turbulence, but actually I think because we're both quite strong characters with a love and respect for each other, we find the conclusion. And that's hard sometimes, you know what it's like, you're married.
Mature, though,
Yeah, it is mature. And it's because we both care and we're mutually locked in. So, you know, all of these things that you just mentioned are not just mine, they're Amanda's as well. You know, everything we've got, we share. And, you know, I think one of the reasons for the rapid growth of the business as well is because from the minute we're awake to the minute we go to bed, we're working. And actually, a lot of the time, we have to say, you know, the bedroom is not the boardroom. We have to turn off from the business. But we don't particularly struggle to do that. And in actual fact, if I'm totally honest with you, we love talking about the business. It's our passion. We love the job that we've got. We love the growth in the business. And we like the decisions that we have to make about what's going to happen and what is happening.
It keeps you close.
It keeps us on our toes. It keeps us close. It means there's something organic within our relationship that will always mean we've got something to stimulate what we're talking about that day rather than the same old, same old. So, you know, for me, a lot of people say, oh my God, how could you work with your wife? I can't imagine not working with Amanda, to be honest with you. It gives me a sense of fulfillment. You know, I went out for a run on Sunday morning. Funny analogy. I went out for a run. I didn't know how far I was going to run. Ended up running 25 kilometres, 4 kilometres more than a half marathon. But for me, I'm that sort of person. If I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it full on. And for me, the fact that I can wake up and work all day, speaking and communicate with my wife, right up until into the evening and at weekends, I like that because I'm an intense kind of person.
Yeah.
You know, I can deal with that. I'm not the sort of person that likes to turn off. So that intensity is good for me.
Yeah, there's definitely similarities with me in that sense. Like I enjoy the thought about business. It's my number one thing to talk about, probably. Yeah. But in a way, I like the opposite with mine because she gives me the space that I haven't got if she wasn't there. So if she's not there, I am 100% Hoxo head. Yeah. When I'm with Fid, I try and think about her and what she's going through and her family and my family, and it gives me that little bit of balance and window that I think helps me. Yeah. Everyone's different, right? Yeah. But I think it's great what you're doing. I think it's commendable that you can. Thanks, man. That you're doing that, and I wish you all the luck, mate. I mean, the fact that you've built an amazing business, you've sold one before, you're doing it again, you're having kids, you're throwing everything at it in the melting pot. And from what I saw before, which we won't talk about in detail, it sounds like your model is pretty innovative as well, which is awesome. Thanks. Thanks so much for coming on.
Been a pleasure every minute. Thanks, Sean.
Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And I always say, you're happy for people to reach out and ask you questions?
100%. You know, as I said earlier, life is about collaborating for me. What goes around comes around, and I'm all about good karma. So, you know, I like interacting. I like helping people. So please do.
I'll be surprised if you don't get many people just asking some questions. We'll tag you in the post. Obviously, Chris Redmond on LinkedIn. It's CKRed1 on Insta.
On Instagram, yeah.
I like that one. CK always pops up. And that's it from me from today. We'll be back next week with another guest. Hopefully you're enjoying season 2. I always say, please do share your comments on the iTunes store. Give us a rating. It allows us to reach more people. But the big thing is on LinkedIn. We're getting a lot of views on posts. We're getting like 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 every single time we talk about the RAG, which is daily, and it gathers momentum. But the only way it's going to gather momentum is if people engage. And we get more recruiters saying, or recruitment owners going, look, sharing it, because you know what? When this is not designed to help one person, it's not individualized, it's about helping everyone or trying to help everyone. Maybe I've got too big a mission, but there's a hell of a lot of recruitment owners that can take from you and others, and together we're stronger. So we'll see you again next Wednesday.